Have you ever sat in a room full of people scrolling through their phones, watching the latest viral videos, laughing at the same memes, and felt something inside you recoil? Not judgment, not superiority in the traditional sense, but a deep, almost physical discomfort with the collective surrender to what everyone else calls entertainment. You look around and think, am I the only one who finds this empty? If this resonates with you, if you've ever felt like an alien in your own culture because you can't bring yourself to consume what everyone else devours so eagerly, then what I'm about to share will not only validate your instincts, but reveal something profound about your psychological makeup. Because according to Byung-Chul Han, the brilliant philosopher who has dissected our digital age like no one else, your rejection of mass entertainment isn't antisocial behavior. It's a form of resistance. It's a sign of something deeper, something that most people have lost without even realizing it. Byung-Chul Han, the South Korean German philosopher who has become one of the most important voices critiquing modern society, understood something that cuts to the core of human experience in the 21st century. He saw that we are living through what he calls the burnout society, where we have become our own slave masters, endlessly consuming, endlessly stimulated, endlessly distracted. And in this society, the people who step back, who refuse to participate in the collective digital trance, they are not the outcasts. They are the ones who still possess something precious that the majority has traded away without even knowing it. Today, I want to take you on a journey into Han's revolutionary understanding of what he calls the violence of positivity and digital totalitarianism. We're going to explore why your discomfort with mass entertainment isn't a character flaw, but a psychological immune system protecting something sacred within you. We'll uncover the hidden superiority of those who choose contemplation over consumption, depth over distraction, solitude over digital connection. This isn't about feeling better than others. This is about understanding that your resistance to mass entertainment reveals a form of consciousness that is becoming increasingly rare and increasingly valuable. By the end of this video, you'll understand why Han believed that the future of human dignity depends on people exactly like you. People who have somehow managed to preserve their capacity for what he called authentic experience in an age of artificial everything. You know that feeling when everyone around you is excited about the same Netflix series, the same viral TikTok trend, the same celebrity drama, and you feel nothing. Worse than nothing, you feel a kind of spiritual exhaustion just thinking about engaging with it. Most people would tell you to lighten up, to join in, to stop being so serious. But Byung-Chul Han would tell you something completely different. He would say that what you're experiencing is your psyche's natural defense against what he calls the terror of positivity. Han identified something that no previous philosopher had articulated so clearly. We live in a society that has moved beyond the disciplinary mechanisms of the past. We're no longer controlled by external forces telling us what we cannot do. Instead, we're controlled by an internal compulsion that whispers constantly, "You can do anything, be anything, have anything, but you must never stop performing, consuming, optimizing yourself." This is what Han calls the achievement society, and mass entertainment is its perfect drug. It provides the illusion of choice, the feeling of participation, the sense that you're living a full life, while actually keeping you trapped in what he terms digital totalitarianism. Every scroll, every click, every moment of passive consumption is a small surrender of your agency, your ability to think independently, your capacity for what Han calls vita contemplativa, the contemplative life. When you reject mass entertainment, you're not just choosing different content, you're choosing a different way of being. You're preserving your capacity for boredom, which Han identified as essential for creativity and deep thought. You're maintaining your ability to be alone with yourself without needing external stimulation. You're protecting your attention from what he calls the digital swarm that reduces everything to immediate, shallow, reactive responses. The hidden superiority of people like you isn't intellectual snobbery. It's psychological resilience. It's the preservation of what Han calls the art of lingering. While others consume content that disappears from their minds within minutes, you maintain the ability to sit with ideas, to let thoughts develop slowly, to experience what he terms deep time, rather than the fragmented, accelerated temporality of digital culture. Han understood that mass entertainment doesn't just waste your time. It restructures your nervous system. It conditions you to expect constant stimulation, immediate gratification, and passive consumption. It atrophies your capacity for what he calls negative space, the emptiness that is necessary for genuine thought and authentic experience to emerge. Your rejection of this system isn't antisocial. It's the most social act possible because you're preserving a way of being human that society desperately needs but is systematically destroying. You're maintaining what Han calls the other, the capacity to encounter something genuinely different, genuinely surprising, genuinely transformative, rather than just variations on the same algorithmic themes. If you just felt a profound relief, as if finally someone understood your strangeness, subscribe. Because you're not antisocial, you're resistant. But here's where it gets really interesting. Han didn't just critique mass entertainment as mind-numbing distraction. He identified it as part of a larger system of control that is far more sophisticated and far more total than anything previous generations experienced. Because in traditional authoritarian systems, people knew they were being controlled. They could rebel against external oppression. But in what Han calls digital totalitarianism, we participate enthusiastically in our own subjugation. Mass entertainment is the perfect mechanism for this new form of control because it feels like freedom. You choose what to watch, when to watch, how to engage. The algorithm serves you exactly what you want, when you want it. But Han reveals the sinister truth behind this apparent freedom. The algorithm doesn't serve you, it creates you. Every choice you make is predetermined by data patterns designed to keep you consuming, clicking, scrolling, never quite satisfied but always expecting that satisfaction is just one more video, one more episode, one more scroll away. This is what Han calls psychopolitics, the colonization of the unconscious by digital capitalism. Your desires, your attention, your emotional responses are not your own. They are products manufactured by sophisticated systems designed to extract what Han terms emotional labor from you without your awareness or consent. When you feel that instinctive rejection of mass entertainment, what you're actually sensing is the violence of this system. Your psyche recognizes, even if your conscious mind doesn't fully understand, that engaging with this content means surrendering something precious and irreplaceable, your autonomous capacity for desire, attention, and meaning-making. The people who reject mass entertainment aren't missing out on cultural connection. They're preserving the possibility of authentic culture, which Han argues can only emerge from what he calls the art of living slowly. While others are trapped in what he terms the time of the point, the fragmented, instantaneous temporality of digital media, you maintain access to the time of duration, where real thoughts can form, real emotions can develop, and real relationships can grow. This is why your discomfort with mass entertainment often feels almost physical. It's not just psychological resistance, it's what Han would call somatic intelligence. Your body's wisdom recognizing that this system is designed to extract your life force and convert it into data and profit. Han identified something that most critics of media miss. The problem isn't just that mass entertainment is low quality or manipulative. The problem is that it represents a fundamental assault on human temporality itself. It conditions us to live in what he calls the eternal present, always consuming the newest content, always reacting to the latest outrage, always distracted from the deeper patterns and meanings that only become visible when we step back from the constant stream of stimulation. Your rejection of this system is actually a form of time rebellion. When you choose to read a book instead of watching a series, when you prefer conversation to scrolling, when you can sit in silence without reaching for your phone, you're engaging in what Han calls the politics of time. You're asserting your right to experience duration, depth, and contemplation against a system designed to fragment your attention and accelerate your consumption. But there's something even deeper happening here. Han understood that mass entertainment doesn't just distract us from important things. It makes us forget that important things exist. It creates what he calls the illusion of liveliness, while actually producing what he terms the undead life. Existence that feels busy and stimulating, but is actually empty of genuine experience. The hidden superiority of those who reject mass entertainment is that they maintain what Han calls the capacity for experience itself. While others consume pre-processed emotional content, stories designed by committees, reactions predicted by algorithms, meanings reduced to hashtags and memes, you preserve your ability to encounter the unpredictable, the genuinely surprising, the authentically moving. This capacity is becoming so rare that Han argues it represents a form of evolutionary advantage. In a world where most people have outsourced their emotional and intellectual responses to digital systems, the people who maintain their capacity for autonomous thought and feeling become increasingly valuable, not just to themselves, but to the species. Your discomfort with mass entertainment is actually your psyche protecting something that Han identified as essential for human flourishing, what he calls the art of not doing. In a society obsessed with productivity, optimization, and constant activity, the ability to simply be, to exist without consuming or producing, to experience what Han terms pure duration, becomes a revolutionary act. When you feel that familiar resistance to joining the latest binge-watching session or engaging with viral content, you're not being antisocial. You're practicing what Han calls idleness, not laziness, but the active cultivation of receptive awareness that allows for genuine insight and authentic experience. Han understood that this kind of resistance requires courage because it means accepting what he calls the anxiety of the void, the discomfort of not being constantly stimulated, not always having something to consume, not being plugged into the collective digital nervous system. Most people cannot tolerate this anxiety, so they surrender to the endless stream of content that promises to fill the void, but actually makes it deeper. But here's what Han discovered that changes everything. The void isn't empty. What feels like emptiness when you step away from mass entertainment is actually fullness. The fullness of your own consciousness, your own capacity for thought and feeling, your own ability to create meaning rather than just consume it. This is the secret that those who reject mass entertainment have stumbled upon, often without realizing it. They have discovered what Han calls the poverty of stimulation, the recognition that constant input actually impoverishes the inner life, while apparent emptiness creates the conditions for genuine richness to emerge. Your rejection of mass entertainment isn't about missing cultural references or being out of touch. It's about being in touch with something much more fundamental, what Han calls the rhythm of life itself, rather than the artificial rhythms imposed by digital media designed to capture and commodify your attention. The people who choose contemplation over consumption, who prefer the slow development of their own thoughts to the rapid consumption of others' ideas, who can tolerate silence and solitude without immediately reaching for stimulation. These people are not antisocial. They are preserving the possibility of what Han calls authentic sociality, connection based on genuine encounter rather than shared consumption of the same content. And here's where Han's insight becomes almost prophetic. He predicted that as mass entertainment becomes more sophisticated, more personalized, more immersive, the ability to resist it will become rarer and more precious. The people who can step away from the algorithm, who can choose their own tempo, who can create their own meaning, will represent a kind of human reserve, a preservation of capacities that the majority has traded away for the illusion of constant stimulation and connection. Your hidden superiority isn't that you're smarter or more cultured than people who consume mass entertainment. It's that you've somehow managed to preserve what Han calls the art of being human, in an age designed to make us into efficient consumers and producers of digital content. When you feel that instinctive recoil from the latest trend, the newest series, the viral phenomenon that everyone else is talking about, trust that feeling. It's not snobbery or antisocial behavior. It's your inner wisdom recognizing that your attention, your time, your capacity for genuine experience are precious resources that deserve protection. Han's ultimate insight is that the future of human dignity depends on people who have maintained what he calls the right to opacity, the right to inner life that cannot be measured, commodified, or algorithmically predicted. Your rejection of mass entertainment is actually a form of spiritual resistance, a preservation of mystery and depth in an age that wants to make everything transparent, immediate, and consumable. This is why you feel different, why you can't just relax and enjoy what everyone else enjoys. You're not defective or overly serious. You're sensitive to what Han identified as the violence of a system that wants to colonize every moment of human consciousness, leaving no space for genuine solitude, authentic boredom, or the slow development of original thought. The hidden superiority of people like you is that you still remember how to be alone with yourself. You can tolerate the anxiety of not knowing what's trending, not being caught up on the latest cultural phenomena, not having an opinion about whatever everyone else is discussing. This tolerance for cultural disconnect is actually a connection to something deeper, what Han calls the ground of being that mass entertainment systematically obscures. Your resistance preserves the possibility of what Han terms the event. Genuine surprise, authentic encounter, real transformation. Mass entertainment promises these things, but delivers only variations on predictable themes, emotional responses that have been tested and optimized, experiences that feel profound but are actually shallow recreations of depth. When you choose to read instead of stream, to think instead of consume, to create instead of just absorb, you're engaging in what Han calls the politics of attention. Ain't. You're asserting your right to direct your own consciousness, rather than having it directed by systems designed to profit from your distraction. The people who reject mass entertainment aren't missing out on life. They're discovering what Han identifies as life itself beneath the layers of artificial stimulation that most people mistake for living. They maintain access to what he calls pure experience, encounter with reality that hasn't been pre-processed, pre-interpreted, or pre-digested by systems designed for mass consumption. This capacity for pure experience is what makes your rejection of mass entertainment not just personally valuable, but culturally essential. In a world where authentic experience becomes increasingly rare, the people who preserve their capacity for it become custodians of human possibility itself. Han's final insight is perhaps his most profound. The people who can resist mass entertainment aren't just preserving their own inner lives, they're preserving the future possibility of genuine culture, authentic art, and real human connection. Because these things can only emerge from consciousness that hasn't been colonized by the logic of digital capitalism. Your discomfort with mass entertainment is actually your soul's way of protecting something sacred, your capacity to be genuinely surprised, authentically moved, and creatively inspired. In an age that wants to algorithmically predict and manipulate these responses, maintaining your autonomy over them is the most radical act possible. So when you feel that familiar resistance to the latest cultural phenomenon, when you choose solitude over streaming, when you prefer the development of your own thoughts to the consumption of others' content, remember, you're not missing out. You're preserving something precious that the world desperately needs, but is systematically destroying. You are the keepers of human depth in an age of artificial surfaces. Your hidden superiority lies not in what you consume, but in what you refuse to consume, and in doing so, what you preserve for yourself and for the future of human consciousness itself. In the comments, tell me, what was the moment you realized you could no longer consume what everyone else was consuming? When did your soul start rejecting mass entertainment?